Hello, everyone. This is the Prometheus Prime podcast. I'm Prometheus Prime. We're doing a very special show today. We're going to talk about something a little bit more serious. I have Cubitron here with me and Lone Wolf. So this is going to be a show about sexual assault and violence and rape and stuff like that. So if you guys are sensitive to these topics, now would be your best time to click that red X. I'll be honest with you. Alright, so Cubitron, since you're new to the show, I would like for you to kind of introduce yourself a little bit. Like, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Hey friends. I'm QB. Don't ask me about my name because it's named after Julie Phonics, so don't do that because I love my name. I'm cool. And I love friends because I like talking to people. So yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, so Lone Wolf, it's good to have you back on. You know, you've changed your name and your logo, so I think the audience will recognize your voice though, since you've been on plenty of times. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. First off, guys, I do appreciate that you guys are coming down and talking about your experiences because I know it's probably very triggering and very hard for you guys to do. So, thanks for kind of trying to help the little guy out there and telling her that everything's gonna be okay. So, because there's been a little bit of a hoopla about there's this like prank going on around TikTok talking about, hey, it's time to sexually assault people and that sort of thing. Like that's been a trend on TikTok on the 24th. Like, what do you guys think about that? Like, even if that is a prank, right? What do you guys think about people trying to make that a thing? Like, what do you guys think? First, you, Cubitron.
Well, so I know whoever started it is like doing it as a prank, but just saying it National Rape Day. I mean, one, rape's not a joke. It's nothing to be played with. It's nothing to laugh about. It's a really traumatic experience. I mean, I'm saying experience because I can't find the other word for it, but it's just traumatic to go through, and no one should have to go through it. So I feel that it's pretty up to say, hey, we're gonna just, because you never know who might actually take that seriously. And like you said, it's a joke, or like they said, it's a joke. But again, it's nothing to be played with. It's nothing to laugh about. It's nothing to smile about. It's something to heavily look down upon. It's sucky.
All right. Yes, that good take on that. Lone Wolf, what do you think?
I agree for everything she just said. It's something that no one should really go through, and it shouldn't even be joked about, honestly, in my opinion. As for someone who's been through it and have had many friends go through sexual assault cases, and most of the time it just being brushed off, and nothing being able to be pushed as far as law goes. So it's, to me, it's just not. It's not something you joke about. I don't care how old you are. I don't care, like, what you grew up. If you have dark humor, I have dark humor, and I still don't joke about that.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting to see this trend kind of take off, as it were. Like, I mean, here's the thing. Obviously, the opposition is way more vocal, and it's way stronger than ever before when it comes to sexual assault. And in some parallel universe, I think perhaps that was the prankster's intention to do. But just the idea of, hey, we're going to sexually assault people, and we're going to do it on the 24th, because that's like, what day, what specifically about that day do these people think it's like open season? Like, I don't understand it. And the idea that even as a joke, even as a prank, you know, like, that just seems a little bit too edgy, even for the TikTok audience. Like, the TikTok audience are a bunch of 12-year-olds. Like, like, what are you guys doing? You know,
like, it's really sick, very, very sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I want to like ask you guys specifically, what are y'all's experiences with rape and sexual assault and stuff? Start with you, Lone Wolf.
Okay.
Where to begin? That's really the true question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to really get into too many specifics.
Okay, no problem. Tell us what you want to say.
I just needed help with some work, and it was kind of like towards the end of my shift, and we'll just call him Rick.
Okay.
Rick had offered to help me with what I needed help with, and he told me he was gonna train me on some things, led me to an area, and forced himself upon me, and that didn't sit well with me to begin with, because he first tried to like force me to kiss him, and then just one thing led to another, and I'm only 5 foot, and I'm small. I'm tiny compared to this. Like, he was probably, he had to be like 5'6", 5'7" at least,
right.
And at least 50 plus pounds more than me. So I couldn't overpower him, and yeah, it's just one thing led to another. Just talking about it's just making me shaky.
We'll take your time.
It just one thing led to another. I can't tell you how long I sat in the shower and just cried, because like, no matter how much I cleaned myself, I felt disgusting. And I didn't know like what to do, like, mentally. Like, I was just like in a state of shock mentally, and just so confused as to why that had happened to me.
Right. I don't see, that's the thing. Like, I've always grown up like, no meant no, keep your hands to yourself. Don't force people to do things that they don't want to do, like that sort of thing. That's always the way that I kind of grew up, And see, the idea of somebody doing that to another human being, let alone just like male or female, right? That's just, to me, that's just disgusting, man. Like, you have to be like an otherworldly, like, low piece of shit to do that to somebody. Like, you have to not see the other person as like a human being at that point, just to... Anyway, Cubitron, do you want to weigh in on this?
Of course.
Go ahead.
So, let's say my experience with it. I was on a date in college. It's my freshman year of college, and I was on a date. And at this time, I didn't know what I was doing. I literally didn't know. It had been a while since I've been on a date. I was just happy to be on one. and old dude who I was with, he seemed pretty cool. Um, we talked a while. We went on a long he seemed pretty chill at first. Um, and then it got to pretty much a different level, I'll say. Where he kind of gave some affection and I kind of gave some affection. And it was up until we went to we were outside and we went to an interesting area, I'll call it. It was an interesting area behind a building and there was like a lot of bushes around. I should have probably thought that was kind of interesting, but I didn't. So, I'll say I didn't know what was going on until it was too late. Because the minute I said no the first time, it didn't mean anything to him. And the minute I said no the second time, it still didn't mean anything. And it really didn't mean anything when a hand was in my mouth and he was trying to shut me up. So, like I said, I didn't know what was up until it was too late. And it was just too late for me. After everything was said and done, he had the audacity to say to me, I'm glad I stopped when you said no, otherwise I would have kept going. But what was interesting about that was that one, did keep going, and two, he didn't stop. So at that time, I was kind of thinking in my mind, I'm just like, what just happened? Did that really just happen to me? So on the drive home, my mom was driving me from this so-called date back to my dorm room. I get to my dorm room and I literally look in the mirror and I start. So I literally say, what just happened? And I was really, really scared. Very, very scared. Not too sure what happened. I was just in shock. I was really shocked. I didn't cry or anything when it came to. I didn't cry until like the day after. But in the moment after it happened, the split moment after it happened, I just could not help but to kind of crawl myself into a ball and just be shocked. The second day came around and I cried my eyes out because I can't believe I actually let something like that happen. And I just blamed myself because I just felt like I was stupid enough to not realize what happened.
Right. You see, it's interesting that you said that about your story, Cubitron, because he said, I'm glad I stopped when I did, or I'm glad I stopped when you said stop, or I would have kept going. See, what's interesting is a lot of people who are rapists, they have a very specific type of definition for what rape is in their own heads. Well, it all applies to rape when it comes to other people. When it comes to themselves, they say some shit like, oh, her body was giving me signals to show that she wanted it, or oh, she was hella wet, so she wanted to have sex, or all this other stuff. At the end of the day, right, like those, like a lot of those things are natural bodily reactions that don't really mean consent, Same as if a guy gets a boner, like from this chick doing stuff to him doesn't mean he actually wants to have sex with her, you know?
That's right.
Yeah, it's just interesting that people kind of do those types of mental gymnastics whenever that comes about. Go ahead, Lone Wolf, you want to jump in?
I just think it's kind of like irritating in a way, because when like all things were said and done as well, like he came up to me like the next day just talking to me like nothing happened.
See, yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, I was like, do you not understand what like you just did to me?
Exactly.
Like, and like I'm like, how do you sleep at night knowing that you just forced yourself upon someone who clearly didn't want anything? And I don't understand the mentality.
That's right. I mean, it sounds like it's a common thing if it happened with both me and you. Like, I don't understand what could possibly go through your mind to make you feel like you can just walk up to me and talk to me and think everything's okay after what just happened.
Well, not just you, both of you guys, like millions of women all around the world. Like, you know, this stuff happens a lot.
It's not just women too. I feel even worse for men, honestly, because they get told like, well, you better be glad you got laid, or they get ridiculed for it.
Yeah, like
not saying that women don't, because I mean excuse you, sorry, that was my daughter. It's I mean, we get called liars, or we get called attention seekers. That's why I couldn't even really bring it up, because like I was still new to the workplace, and when I would bring it up to people, they were like, "Oh, you're too new. You're just trying to get people in trouble." And I'm like, this literally happened to me, and you're not taking it seriously.
That makes very little sense, by the way, because like if you're brand new, why risk ostracizing yourself just to get people in trouble for no reason? That doesn't make any sense. You know, but that, I guess that's people's thought processes whenever they can't think of their friends or the people they work with as rapists. They start doing these mental gymnastics, and they just like make shit up in their heads. Like, it's crazy. Men do get sexually assaulted, yes. And unless it's from a guy, if women are involved, usually other guys will say some shit like, "Oh yeah, you telling me you got molested by Mrs. Hafer when you were 12? God, she was a baddie. Congratulations, man. High five. That sort of thing. Like, people will like just kind of brush your sexual assault off, and I mean it sucks, but like they always say things like, "Be a man, bro. Like, just take it, it's fine. Like, you're fine. Like, you don't..." And that trauma does stick with men, and men feel like they have nowhere to go, and they have nowhere to talk to, nowhere to turn to. And, and just know that, like, you do have a place to go, and you do have a place to talk to. Like, it's just really hard for men to seek any type of, assistance with anything when it really comes down to it. A lot of it is pride too. We're kind of raised to be these people who are indestructible. Like, we're raised to be this mountain of this tower of defense that can't be penetrated, and nothing will like have to change that, because you'll have to change men like intrinsically as a whole. And I think me personally, I think it takes a lot more strength to ask for help than it is to shove your trauma in the back, just put it in your back seat and never talk about it ever again. Like, I think it takes more strength to ask for help, because you have to humble yourself, and secondly, you have to trust in others to put your burden onto them. I think that takes a lot more than just saying, "Hey, I'm gonna walk around. I'm gonna walk the entire earth with this problem in the back of my head, and follow through with like years of self-destructive behavior before it comes to a point where I have to do it, where I have to get counseling and therapy, or else I'll die or something.
I think you're right, 100%.
Yeah. So now that you guys have kind of like shared y'all's experiences, I want to get into like what in y'all's like particular mind, like what constitutes as like sexual assault, or what constitutes as like not giving consent and stuff like that. For people who aren't really like 100% sure on what is what. People who like there's like gray area and stuff. Like I want to like ask y'all what constitutes as not giving consent.
Okay. Well, honestly, if you don't want it to happen and that person still forces you to do something that you don't want to do, that's rape. That's sexual assault. No means no. Like you said earlier, no means no. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't want it to happen, it shouldn't have to happen. But if it does, then that's rape and sexual assault. Right. Because someone is really forcing you to do something that you do not want to do. Really, that I honestly think that's all that should really constitute for that. Just a simple, huge, no, I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. No, I don't want to do this, but you force me to do it anyways. That's sexual assault. That's rape.
All right. What do you think, Lone Wolf?
I agree with her. I also want to add on to the whole guilt tripping. Mm-hmm. Guilt tripping into sexual favors, or also like assuming that like that person owes you something, right. Sort of thing. That's me. Like you just because you go on a date and you pay for their meal and you treat them very nicely on that date doesn't mean that they owe you like any type of favors for that matter.
Right.
To me, like, yeah, it would be nice, but at the same time it's like if that person doesn't want it, then don't force them into it.
Right.
What's another thing? Oh, anything dealing with alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
if you have alcohol, to me, if you have any type of alcohol throughout the night, doesn't matter if you've had one beer or 2 shots and you feel fine, and the other person feels fine, to me, it's just better to be safe than sorry, because you never know what that person might feel like in the morning after everything is said and done.
Well, yeah, I don't really know, because like if you had 1 shot, it's like that shouldn't affect everything that goes on that night. You know what I mean? Like
it shouldn't, but hey, different strokes for different folks.
Oh yeah, I know people have different tolerances and stuff like that. I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like, if we're both having shots, if we're both like a little silly, but we're not drunk and stuff like that, like I'm not in the camp of like either of us are rapists. I think we just had a silly night. I think we had a stupid night. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's definitely now, but it's a completely different story if both of you are like stupid drunk and she literally can't even tell you the first 3 letters of the alphabet.
Obviously, if she's knocked out or even like plaster drunk to where she can't even like talk, then that's a no-go. But like if we're both enjoying each other's time, we're both have a few drinks in us, but we're good enough to even fake driving, but I wouldn't recommend it, but we're good enough to fake driving. Like we're good enough to like drive home, but I wouldn't recommend it. Then I don't see that as 2 people raping each other. I think
Of
it's
course.
just two people
No.
having fun, you know? And maybe we woke up later and maybe your friends might find out, or maybe there might be a little shame going on, but at the end of the day, right, I think that's just two people having a good time and maybe making some mistakes along the way. I don't consider that to be rape. You know, I wouldn't want to consider that as rape because that'd make a
See,
lot
and
of people rapists.
yeah, you're a great guy for thinking that. You are.
Mm.
It's unfortunate that other men would take advantage of that situation given the chance.
No, that's crazy to me.
especially the guys that like keep feeding the drinks and everything.
Yeah, like have another shot and another and another. You know, it's like you're Oprah Winfrey from giving off the shots. You know, but
It's not funny. It's funny, but it's not funny.
The thing about that though, I saw something the other day about sexual assault. It was interesting for me to read. It was a quote. It said, when it comes to rape, rape isn't about sex; it's about power. What do you guys think about that?
Miss Wolf, you first.
Like, what do you mean? Like,
When it comes to
is it
rape,
just like overpowering?
no, it's about like dominate. Like I think the idea is that it's about like domination, and it's about like making the person feel small and weak and helpless, and that's what gets the rapist off, not necessarily the sex part, even though that is a part of it. But like what gets them off is just the ability of you can do something to them and they can't fight back. That's what do you think about that that charge? What do you think about that?
I mean, it could be very possible. I mean, there are a whole bunch of narcissistic people out there that just get their rocks off on just being like abusive behaviors.
Yeah.
I think it's more along the lines of just of being of overpowering and their lust of just wanting that one person, and it's really hard to really explain what I'm trying to portray.
All right. So you're kind of saying like it's kind of like people have this overwhelming sexual desire and they can't really stop themselves, but they also think themselves more deserving of having sex than, say, that Chad over there, who's like the life of the party. He's a good time. Like he's not socially inept like this person over here who just wants to drug the right girl at the right time, who's by herself, so like that type of person thinks they're more entitled to sex, and the fact that they can do what gets them off is more so they can do whatever they want to the other person, not that they have someone to have sex with. That's basically the idea of like that particular quote. It's when it comes to rape, it's not about sex, it's about power. I think it can be both. I think it's not one or the other. Obviously, you can emulate that emotion any other way. Like you can you can
do it in a consensual way.
Exactly. Like you can role play with your girlfriend if you can get one. You can even like that sense of power and that sense of like rush and adrenaline. Hell, you can take up gambling. you can take up you can play games with people. Like you can become a competitive video game player. You can do a whole bunch of other things to essentially give off that same adrenaline, that same high, that same ecstasy, that same feeling of destroying your opponent and there's nothing they can do about it. you know, besides raping people. Like, you can do a whole bunch of stuff besides that to give off that same feeling, you know. And
I agree.
And I can argue that it's way easier to do those other things than it is to, like, you know, take someone by force. That's pretty fucked up.
And it's not illegal.
Yes.
And that's not illegal. That's right.
Totally destroying someone in Smash is not illegal. Okay.
There are other things you can do besides, one, doing something illegal, and two, making someone's life a living hell after you do it.
Yes. The I want to, like, oh yeah, that's also a good segue into the next thing I wanted to talk about, like the overall effects of the things that happen to you guys. Like, I want to ask, like, how does that affect y'all's day to day, like the trauma that's left behind from your experiences?
So, sorry, you can go ahead, QB, if you want.
Hey, no, you first.
I have like reoccurring nightmares. Sometimes like certain things trigger like anxiety attacks. I don't like being in large crowds because of it. It's just like a number of things that it's not comfortable to me. It's really changed how I feel about being around people who position themselves a little closer to me. So it's like I'm always on guard out in public.
Right. Okay. What about you, Cubitron?
So, a lot of what Miss Wolf said, I feel the same about. I am super cautious about guys, especially the ones that are standing close to me. And then also, I don't like walking. I mean, I have a dog, and I love the thought of walking my dog, but I don't like walking with my dog alone.
Right.
And I don't like doing that because I'm afraid something will happen to me again. And then the place where it happened, it used to be a fun place for me, but now I won't even, like, bat a second eye at that place. I won't go towards it. I won't even think about going there anymore, which sucks because, again, it used to be a very fun place, but because that's the place where it physically happened, I can't go anywhere near it. Because just thinking about the place just makes me want to throw up. And then I guess the last thing I would say is, one would be that there are young girls around my neighborhood and my neighborhood complex that I can't help but to look after because I'm so worried that it's going to happen to them what happened to me. And now I have the thought in my mind of, being terrified of having a daughter in the future, because I don't want what happened to me to happen to her. And if ever it were to, then I wouldn't know how to handle that situation because I didn't handle it the best way myself. So in a way, it's kind of got me scared to having a daughter.
Yeah, honestly, like, I feel like, me personally, with, like, the daughter situation, I'm not really afraid to have a daughter, because I think the future, like, seeing where, like, the cultural zeitgeist is headed, I can see that there is more awareness on what rape and sexual assault is than there was in the past, Like, things were, like, okay, back in the 1950s, like, it was, you could pat your fucking female coworkers on the ass and there'd be no issue, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was, like, that was the culture back then, You just pat them on the butt, send them on their way, and it was all cool. It wasn't all cool for the women, but like there was no like system for them. And as we've grown, like as a society, more and more, we have more and more awareness. Like we have more programs. Like hell, we're doing this on Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and the fact that there's a month indebted to that, and people are, and I know there are like jokesters on TikTok trying to make a joke out of the whole thing, but the fact that we have more awareness than ever means, I mean, obviously, like, when it comes to sexual violence and sexual assault, the rape and in the terms of crime statistics are going like down. Rape and sexual assault is going down in this country. That's not to say there are less rapes, but there are less arrests because of rapes and sexual assaults. Now, does that mean more people are getting away with it? I'm not sure. But what I think that means is that more and more people are starting to kind of get it, Or more people are afraid of going to jail. But either way, there's more in place to kind of make it so even if I do have a daughter, under at least the system and under the things that I'll teach her, she'll be relatively safe. I think. I can only hope, as someone who's going to be a father in the future, that is the case. I can only hope that's the case. So I have a question for you guys. How has the trauma from what has happened to you guys affected your relationship with your loved ones? Your spouses, your family, your immediate family members. Your relationships. How has it affected that?
I would say that so with who I'm with or currently dating, I should say, I think I had a moment where I scared him. I definitely did not mean to, but I think I had a moment where I scared him and where I kind of made him feel bad because he touched me and didn't touch me in a bad way or anything like that. He just simply put a hand on my shoulder and I jumped, like really actually jumped. I jumped and he asked me if I was okay, and he told me that he didn't want me to be afraid of him. So I think I definitely hurt his feelings. I didn't mean to. I guess it was just a spur of the moment when I was thinking about it. But I just think that there are certain things that I do that might make him feel uneasy. And of course, that's due to my unfinished business with confronting what happened in the past. So, yeah.
What about you, Lone Wolf?
Well, the guy I'm with now, he's been like a pillar that I can lean on, since before the event. So he's helped me through a lot of traumas, not just with my sexual assault, and he's I don't think he realizes it, but he's helped me in more ways than I can possibly imagine. Because I already had that mindset that not all men are like that, and that I would just have to live with the fact that I'm just more cautious around certain people that give off that bad vibe.
Right.
He's helped me to be more social, because I just don't like meeting new people after the whole incident. I don't like being around people I don't know. He's helped me in that area. It was kind of hard, kind of getting in the relationship. It was rocky at first, I should say. It wasn't hard getting into it. It was just really rocky. It was a lot of things that I was trying to process. And when we started talking and dating, but we've been together for 4 years now.
Yay!
And we're actually about to get married in June.
Oh my gosh! Congratulations!
Congrats.
Thank you. But like you were saying earlier, I know this is kind of off topic, but QB, you were talking about how you were afraid to have a daughter in the future. I completely understand that fear. I don't think there is ever a day that I don't wake up and not be afraid of my daughter's safety, as far as like who she's around, and it's always like a constant scare to drop her off at daycare, or at least it used to be until I got a new person to watch her. Because there was a time that with an old babysitter, she started hating diaper changes, and I realized that, you know, she became more red, I should say, down there. And I was very concerned. What was supposed to be the nanny was supposed to be watching her here at my house. She was taking her to her house, and the nanny and her fiance had just recently broken up, and she was having this guy that I didn't know come over to her house, and I'm like, I don't understand how she's hating diaper changes, and she's so red down there and so irritated and just comfortable. So it's like there was a point there that I was really afraid that something was happening to her, and she just couldn't communicate on what was going on. I'm hoping that that's not what the case was, and that she was just having a really bad diaper rash, but you know, you just can't help it but think of the worst after having something so traumatic happen to you, you know. And so I completely understand your fear. I just wanted to sympathize with you on that just a little bit.
Makes me feel really good. Like, you have no idea how good that makes me feel.
That's great. I'm glad.
Real quick, I have to say, doesn't it feel so good when you find a mate and who's just so nice to you and flips your whole world upside down?
It is amazing. It's life changing, honestly. Because I was married prior to, and that didn't end well either. But that's for a different story.
You know, I'm glad you guys have very healthy and loving relationships, because I bet the road to recovery was very, very difficult, and we'll get into that a little later. I was gonna ask you guys, you know, this is kind of a strange question, but does the trauma from like y'all's experiences affect y'all's sex life any? Does it like prelude you guys from doing specific things because of what happened to you guys? Or
I have noticed that I have a low libido. I haven't, and I feel really bad. I shouldn't say I feel bad about it, but like a part of me feels really bad about, you know, not being able to, you know, be as intimate as I would like to be with my fiance. And they say a part of it was, you know, because of me having my daughter, but at the same time it's just like being in that type of situation just kind of like it puts me back kind of like in that mindset of how I was. And so I try to, like, I guess that's part of me trying to low-key put it back, like, on the back burner and try not to think about it. But, like, you know, I just, you can't really expect that person to, your partner to, like, I shouldn't say not be okay with it, because they should, but like, he's fine with it if I say no. He doesn't do anything.
Right.
But it's just like, in that back of the mind, like, I just feel really bad that I can't show love to my partner in an intimate way without having those bad feelings come back up.
Right.
And that's a terrible thing too, is that you feel bad for, like, what the trauma has kind of done to you, because at the end of the day, like, us men, we want to have sex, you know what I mean? Like, we crave it, we love it. It's like it's in our dinosaur DNA, It's just, men generally, not all, generally we have a huge libido, and unsatiable. And here's the thing, it's not, and that's not like pertaining to rape. Like, we want to have sex with a person we love,
Yeah.
and like, of course, like, of course, I'm glad you found a man who's understanding, and one that'll be like, hey, listen, I understand you don't want to do anything, that's okay, but like, but in the back of our minds, a lot of the time we're going to be all like, oh man, like, I'd really like to get laid, but I'm going to hold it back for her, so, like, that's the thing, like, well, at the end of the day, though, we're just trying to be supportive the best we can, but a lot of dudes just, kind of want to have that sex, so whenever you try to make time for him, despite your trauma, is always fantastic, I think,
I think so too. Big ups to Lone Wolf.
Oh yeah, but what about you, QBtron?
So for me, I don't really see a problem with my libido. I'm fine in that regard. The only way it has affected me is Battle of the Fetishes. That's what I've been calling it.
Battle of the Fetishes.
That's right. That's exactly what it sounds like. So, and it's going to sound very weird, but I'm hoping that there are other women out there who kind of understand what I'm saying. And if you don't, and I do apologize if this comes out pretty interesting, but after what happened to me, I was shocked and I was scared and it hurt me. And I didn't seek any help for it. I didn't go to any counseling. I didn't get any therapy. I didn't tell anybody what happened. I just kind of left it there and let it fester. And what happened was that when the next time came around for having sex with someone, it was weird because when I say battle of the fetishes, here's what I mean. I could not wrap my head around, okay, so I was raped and sexually assaulted, but in a way, now I'm thinking am I thinking it's kind of a turn on after it's happened? Because I don't want that to happen to me again. I don't want that to happen. But at the same time, there's just something wrong with me because I found that I reacted to it happening when I would watch like videos or porn videos or whatever, things like that. But I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but it's become very mental for me. That's what I mean by battle of the fetishes. I don't know if it's an actual fetish or if it's just that it happened to me and I'm still not dealing with it because I didn't get any help for it. would say that's the only way that it affects me. It doesn't affect me and my man today because it took a lot of wrong tries to get to the most amazing guy ever. So it has not affected how I perform with him and how he performs with me.
That so Battle of the Fetishes. I actually heard like there's a psychological term. I don't know what the term is, but I heard there's a psychological term for like women who deal with past trauma and sexual assault. So what they'll do is they'll take on a like mentally, like intrinsically, like internally, they'll take on like a more promiscuous role in their lives. Like they'll take on a more promiscuous, like, hey boys, how's it going, just to kind of take their sexual power back and stuff like that. They'll seek out many men to to kind of just make it feel like, to make them feel like they weren't assaulted and stuff like that, or make them feel like they can control the situation. So I have heard of something like what you're talking about. I didn't know it was like a fetish thing. I thought it was more of a unresolved trauma due to like psychological issues thing.
Yeah, I have no idea what to call it. That's why I just call it Battle of the Fetishes. I don't really know.
What do you think, Lone Wolf?
Honestly, not other than kind of like thinking about that, I kind of had the same experience. A few months after everything happened, I don't feel that way now.
Right.
But like I just like a part of me, like you were describing, QB. I had that same feeling. I don't know if it's just because it was something I could relate to.
Right.
But it's like as the time's gone by, I just it doesn't have the same effects to me.
Mm-hmm.
But after the the first few months after that incident had happened, yeah. I had experienced that. Mm-hmm. So you're not alone there either. As far as like my experiences, I can't speak for everybody, but as far as my experiences,
as long as I have someone to share that with, that is all that matters. Because I felt like a crazy and mental person for the longest of time.
You're not alone on that. Like I was just so confused as to why my body was reacting to it in that way.
All right.
I was confused by it. I'm like, how can I feel this way knowing that this had happened to me, and like how scarring it was for me to go through. I don't know if it was just like kind of like my way of coping, because I never got help for it either. And like I think for like the longest I was denying it, that it actually happened to me. Even though I knew it happened to me, I always denied it. And I think that was my biggest mistake. Because I think that led to my depression and my anxiety being even worse than what it could have been if I actually got help after it happened.
Well, that's not really all on you guys. I mean, sometimes you don't really, like you said, you don't really know if it happened or not. Like, you don't know the circumstances in which allowed for it to take place, and so you kind of wonder in your head, like, did I just get sexually assaulted? Did I just get raped? And so that trauma, like, kind of changes you inside in a way. Like, it took Bill Cosby's victims to like almost like maybe 20 or 30 years to come out and speak out about their experiences with him, and how he drugged them, and he used he would take them into their hotel room and do things to them, and they never told anyone because he was such a prolific figure in the black community, not only community but in TV in general and Hollywood. He was he was a name. He was a big name in Hollywood, and only recently, like a couple years ago, did people come out and say, "Hey, this happened to me," and like all these other women came out. It was like that. It was like that scene in Avengers Endgame where like people are coming through the portals to fight the final battle. It's like all these like hundreds of women start coming out, like trying to march to battle against against Bill Cosby, and then Harvey Weinstein got fucked up, and it's like, and I think with the Me Too movement, like I have my brief criticisms, but at the end of the day, I think the Me Too movement is a very reasonable thing to have. Like, it's not only a movement, it's a reaction. It's kind of what you get when like so many people are wronged for so long, and they feel as though they don't have a voice. So, look, as a man, and as look, I haven't been assaulted or touched in any way, and I'm not a victim, I'm not a survivor or anything like that. All I can really do is kind of like give off my perspectives as an outside source, kind of like the outside looking in, sort of, so that's all I really can do is ask the right questions for people who are also looking on the outside, So anyway, I wanted to ask you guys another question, like, how would y'all say, like, how good is y'all's, after all the trauma that you guys have like experienced and everything, like, what if your assaulter was here, like right now, like if he was somehow like in front of you, what would you guys say? Cubitron, you first.
I honestly, I don't even know if I'd be able to say anything. I mean, honestly, I'd probably slap the shit out of him if I could, and then some. But I honestly don't even know if I'd be able to say anything. I don't want to know why. I honestly have no intentions of knowing why he did it. I don't care why he did it. I don't care what his mindset was. I don't care about him. I just I'm, in a way, I'll say that I'm still sort of kind of afraid of him, but I'm also angry. I'm still angry. Like, there's no forgiveness, none. So I'd probably slap the shit out of him. And that's really about it. I wouldn't want to talk to him. I'd still be afraid, but at the same time, I'd be very angry, so I wouldn't have anything to say to him.
Say your man was there to help you out, like your man was there with you, and he wanted to confront this guy as well, like, would you be more open to saying what you wanted to say, or would it be the same way?
I sure would. The man I'm with now, he makes me feel completely safe, like he has my back 120%. So if he were there and he were standing with me, I would feel more confident to say what I wanted to say. And if I could say it with my man by me, then I'd tell him flat out, I'd say, you hurt me. And you know that you hurt me. And I don't understand why. But I'll just tell you that in life, things ended up good for me. And the one thing you did to completely destroy me did not take. It did not give. So, fuck you.
Nice. But Barry, that's amazing. Alright. Lone Wolf, what about you?
I'm kind of like on the opposite spectrum. I want to know why. Like, why out of everything possible. Like, why? Like, what drove him to do what he did to me?
Oh.
Right.
And I would definitely be putting some distance in between me and him. Like, I'd probably have a really hard time like making eye contact with him.
Right.
As if it's not hard for me now. But it just even more so. I think I would find myself more looking at the ground more than, you know, actually like being able to, you know, see his face again. But yeah, I mean, really, the only question I would really have would be is why. Like, why hurt me, and why, like, why would you do that to somebody, another human being, let alone, you know, someone you worked with and you were supposed to help, especially since brand new, kind of trying to, you know, understand where everything was and how everything was ran. Like, why would you take advantage of that to traumatize me and possibly, you know, ruin future relationships that I would have had at that time, like, due to the fear of, would this happen to me again? Granted, that didn't happen, but, you know, in a hypothetical world, you know, like, what like, why would you want to do that to somebody in general? I should say, like, why would you want to do that to somebody?
Yeah, that to me, honestly, like, I feel like rape is worse than killing somebody, you know? Because, like, when you kill someone, it's like, at least they don't, I mean, for obvious reasons, they don't have to live through, like, any more pain or anything else that you can do to them, like, if you just kill them. But, like, to rape someone, they have to live through that shit. They have to try moving on through life with that pain and the scars and the mental afflictions and stuff like that. Like, they have to deal with that day after day after day for the rest of their lives, you know? Killing them is quick, you know? Shot to the head, stabbed into the chest, all that stuff. But, you know, to make someone live through that is just pure evil, you know?
Yeah.
Right, but anyway, I was going to ask you guys, like, what do you guys do to kind of cope with the trauma and all the pain and stuff? Like, what is y'all's road to recovery? What does that look like?
So,
well, the road to recovery. So I'll just say, I've been, and this is gonna sound weird, but it is what it is. The way I live today and the way I interact with my man, I, like, legit, I'll let you know what I said. I told him, I said, I want you, the next time that you have sex with me, you make love to me, I want you to do it as if it was the first time we ever did it. I want you to do me as if I was a virgin, because the way my virginity got taken away from me was hell. So, because I know my man can put it down like that, because I know he can do it, because I know he can do it, I asked if he could do it. And honestly, that, like, overpowers everything that happened to me. It really does, because he just makes me that happy. He makes me that happy, and he puts it down that good to where it just wipes away everything that happened. And yes, I'll have my moments, but when he's with me, it all of a sudden just makes it seem like everything's okay.
Okay.
So when he puts it down on you like that, to erase all that in the past, that is what I truly call recovery. You feel me?
More power to you, girl. Like, shit. You got a guy that can lay it down. Like, get it. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it.
This is with me. You see what I mean?
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Okay, Lone Wolf, what about you? What is your road to recovery?
So, I've recently started therapy, just for the ongoing problems that I've been having. I've learned that kind of like actually being more open about it has really started the process of healing and trying to push past everything that has happened to me. Because there's definitely other traumas that are in there as well, that's really affected the way I've been feeling. But most importantly, as far as like how I feel about my body and the way I view it, talking about it and trying to find solutions has really helped. Being more open with my partner has also really helped about it, because for a while I like, he knew about it, but I never really got into too much detail about it. You know, I didn't really want to talk about it too much. I just wanted to forget about it, honestly. But as trauma goes, that's not how that works. So talking about it, kind of getting out of my comfort zone, you know, doing frisky shit, kind of helps. Most definitely helps, actually, a lot. You know, just even trying on a dress that, you know, I wouldn't have worn like, you know, shortly after, just because of how I felt about my body, helps a lot, you know. Because after everything was said and done, I really looked at myself as like a piece of meat, and it was disgusting to me, and I hated myself for the longest, and I'm still trying to get past that feeling of self-hate, and it's been a long road, but I have definitely came a long way compared to how I felt before.
Right.
Like, like this summer I'm gonna be wearing a sundress for the first time in 5 years.
Yeah, I was about to say, you have to wear a dress at some point because you gotta.
So, you know, just, you know, to me, taking that first step just to look for dresses, that was a big step for me. And, you know, when it came in the mail and I tried it on and I loved it, and, you know, it, to me, like something, a quote that someone told me, not really a quote, but a saying that someone told me is, you know, take it one day at a time, one step at a time, you know. Because, you know, you can't expect recovery to be instantaneous, you know, in the next couple weeks, months. You know, it takes years to build yourself back up from where you were. And I'm so proud of you, QB, for being a man, you know, that loves you for you and is willing to stand by you, makes you safe, and, you know, just all around, you know, feel good about yourself, you know. And I wish more people were able to, you know, experience that that feeling.
Yeah.
And I hope, you know, us talking about it brings more peace to people who have experienced this feeling before.
I agree. You're so sweet. Thank you. Glad to be.
Well, thank you.
I was about to say that you guys, I feel like you guys are very fortunate to have people in your lives who are willing to support and affirm you and like hold you up and make sure you're okay, because a lot of victims don't really have that, you know. A lot of people who have come out about their abuse or their abuser, they've lost support from their family members. They've lost support from, you know, their friends and their coworkers and stuff like that. Like, everyone has shunned them essentially, and I think both of y'all are very fortunate to have people in your corner who are willing to, despite, the damage that has been done, you are not broken. Like they're people who have been there and just like willing to help pick the pieces back up and put them back into place. And despite the fact that all trauma leaves its scars, they're willing to be there for you. I think that's very fortunate to have in this day and age. So I just wanted to, give a shout out to those guys, whoever you guys are. If you ever watch this video, just know that, these ladies are doing fine, These ladies are loved and cherished, and they're slowly putting their pieces back one by one. Anyway, the next thing I was gonna say is, what advice do you guys have to, men or women, women or men that feel like they have nowhere to go and no one to talk to, and after a sexual experience, sexual assault or sexual rape or whatever, like, what do you guys have to say to those people who feel like there's nowhere to turn?
Miss Wolf, you first.
So, I think the best advice that I can give that has helped me tremendously is writing down your feelings and taking it after writing it down, balling it up, and don't do this in your house. Setting it on fire. That has helped a lot through this trauma and the past traumas that I've experienced. Writing down my feelings, taking that piece of paper and either flushing it down the toilet or burning it, making it like a starter for like a fire or something.
Yeah.
To me, that was freeing for me, because I was able to write down all my feelings and the experience that I have had, and just watching it like either go down the drain or burn up and turn into embers that are flying through the sky. It reminded me that I am me. No one's going to take that away from me, and that I will get through this. Another thing is that there's always crisis hotlines to call and talk to. You have the National Suicide Hotline. I'm pretty sure there's a domestic violence hotline as well. There's sexual assault hotlines. Google is just one Google search away. And I'm a big advocate for those because it has saved my life, and it has saved countless of my friends' lives as well. That felt like they weren't them anymore.
All right. Well, I'm glad you guys shared that. I think it'll mean a lot to, the women out there who are watching and listen. I understand my show doesn't really get a lot of viewers and a lot of traction, but if it just... if only one person watches the video and, listens to what we have to say, and they feel like they're, and they feel like they're not alone in the world, or they feel like they can get help for what they can for their issues they have, then that is worth it to me. If it's only one person, because at the end of the day, right, like, this is about what's right, it's about protecting what matters most to us, it would also, I will bring up a few, this topic of sexual assault and rape and stuff wouldn't be complete without talking about preventative measures that can be taken to make sure that type of thing doesn't happen to you. So
Right.
Now, as we list off these preventative measures, make no mistake, people. Make no mistake. Us listing off these measures isn't victim blaming. Whatever happens to you is not your fault. It is not your fault. We are just listing off ways to make sure it doesn't happen or it doesn't happen again. Because preventative measures are very important when it comes to this sort of thing, to make sure you are not targeted. Okay. Now, Cubitron, do you have any ways you can prevent some sexual assault and rape from happening?
A couple, yeah. So, one, know who you're talking to before you decide to physically engage with them. That was my mistake. And that's where my oops came in. The guy I went on a date with, I literally talked to him for maybe 2 days on a dating website, and that was it. So know who you're talking to before you engage with them first. Another thing I say is, if you have to walk from home or catch the bus or something like that, do whatever you can to make sure you're not doing it alone. If you're gonna go somewhere, don't go by yourself. Don't do it. Don't go by yourself. And if you have to go by yourself, get you one of those good old self-defense keychains from TikTok. Those are cool. I know that the whole thing started because, everyone's talking about National Rape Day on April 24th, and it started from TikTok, but self-defense keychains, I'm not talking about the old just pepper spray on your keychain, which is good too, but I'm not just talking about those. I'm talking about lipstick, so a keychain that looks like lipstick, but it's not lipstick, it's a knife that I can whip your butt with, or a for real taser or something like that. If you have to go anywhere by yourself, please take some kind of safety measure with you and have your phone on. If your phone ain't on, don't go nowhere. Just forget it. If your phone ain't on, just forget it. That's it. Just don't. But yeah, just kind of be safe. That's all I want. I just want everyone to kind of be safe. That's it. That's all.
Understood. Lone Wolf, what about you?
If you go to a social gathering, just make sure you know who's around, who they are. Keep an eye on your drinks. Please keep an eye on your drinks, or have someone that you can trust. Keep an eye on your drinks.
Right.
Because you never know what someone might try and slip in your drinks. What's another thing? Just kind of be aware of your surroundings. Honestly, I understand it's really hard, especially in bustling cities and everything, to keep your eyes peeled on every single person. But it's just kind of if you start seeing red flags from someone, or you have an encounter that's making you feel uncomfortable, try, I would say, randomly, because usually people nowadays, you can randomly grab somebody and pretend like you know that person, and usually they can kind of get the hint of what's going on. And they'll hopefully try and save you from that situation. If you're going out to eat and you're starting to notice red flags, I'm talking sexual advances that you don't want, and he or she is not taking no for an answer, dropping try promiscuously write on a piece of paper, or go to the say you're going to the bathroom and actually pull a waiter or waitress aside and be like, hey, I don't feel comfortable. I know, I believe Hooters does this thing where you can order a certain drink. It's not really a drink. I think it's an angel shot or something like that, and that notifies that notifies people, the staff, that something's wrong.
Right.
Oh, that's cool. Like that.
Right. Yeah, that.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah, I wish I was sponsored. That'd be great. You know.
But it's just, make sure you're around people that you know, and that you can trust, and just be aware of your surroundings. That's really all I can really say.
Mm-hmm. And look, as the only man in this like talk right now, not being alone, not drinking too much, and things like that. Like, I want to also just reiterate for another time. We're not victim blaming by bringing up these reasons. We're just saying that it would be nice to live in a world where people didn't do these things, It'd be nice to live in a world where people don't rob or people don't murder, And I'd love to live in that world. Unfortunately, in reality, people will take advantage of you if you're not ready. If you are not using your preventative measures. And here's the thing, these aren't all catch-alls, okay? Because you can do everything you possibly can and still have something bad happen to you, Like, these aren't just a catch-all. All we're doing is trying to give the best advice we can to some of these people, and here's the thing, like, whatever you wear doesn't automatically make you a target,
Yes, I was just about to say that. Preach it for the people in the back, please.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up because, like, wearing a short skirt is not, like, well, here's the thing, I'm not even talking to the rapist out there because rapists don't give a shit about this show and they're not going to listen to what we have to say. I'm talking to more of the people who land on the gray area of, well, maybe she wants it because she's promiscuous, she has a history of sexual promiscuity and stuff like that. I'm talking to you guys real quick, alright? Her having a skirt that's up to her twat is not an invitation, alright? You know what I'm saying? What she wears is not an invitation, Only a clear yes or no is an invitation. You feel me? Or lack of invitation. You can't just say, oh, she's literally wearing a corn chip and 2 dimes. That means she wants to be sexually assaulted or she wants to have sex or whatever. That's not how it works. You feel me? And here's the thing. I know I'm being very I'm being very exaggerated for this one, but like, that's my point. Even to like the most exaggerated point, to where she is literally wearing a fucking Dorito chip and 2 dimes. That still doesn't mean you go over there and you attack her, okay? Like, so, that she's not asking for it if she literally has that on. So, for those people who kind of meet in the gray area of, oh, maybe she wants it because she wants attention because she's wearing all this stuff and doing all this stuff, like, that's still not kosher. That still doesn't fly.
No, it doesn't.
What do you have to say on that, Lone Wolf?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, when I was raped, I was wearing a t-shirt and pants. Like, and it's like, I mean, for Christ's sakes, a t-shirt and pants. I don't know how much more I can cover myself up with, really. You want me to cover up my arms? Like,
right.
It's just, it baffles me that people are like, well, she's wearing this really short dress, she must really want sex. No, she's comfortable in her body, let her be comfortable.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't really work for guys. And that's interesting, too, because no one really says that for guys, either, like that doesn't make sense either way, because like when guys are walking around the beach with literally no fucking top on, or like wearing very tight or short shorts, no woman decides like, hey, I'm gonna smack him on the behind, or I'm gonna try to flirt with him or whatever, and that's completely okay. You know what I mean? Like that. So I don't understand the thought process there either.
Yeah.
Like me, I'm a person who just leaves people alone. Like in public, I don't like to interact with really anybody. Like even when I'm like getting gas and like I try to pay for it and it says see cashier, I'm like, nah, I'm going to a different fucking place. I literally drive to a different fucking gas station just so I don't have to see the cashier to pay for my fucking gas.
Really?
Dude, I hate that. I don't want to talk to anybody.
I don't blame you.
So, that's just how that goes. And what do you think, Cubitron, about the whole idea of, she was wearing, she wasn't wearing underwear, so she totally wanted it,
Man, what? What?
I mean, just like, what do you think of that, like, idea?
Well, I think that's ridiculous because I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I'm not speaking for every lady out there. I'm speaking for the ones who feel the same way I do. Like, I don't like wearing underwear all the time. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that. I don't like wearing underwear all the time. I mean, That suffocates my shit. I don't like that. Okay, I don't like wearing underwear all the time, and that's just because I don't like underwear. I don't like it. That doesn't mean that it's not an invitation. I'm not inviting you to do something with me because I'm not wearing underwear. It's not about you. It's about me. I don't want to wear underwear because I don't want to wear it. And I don't have to. It's my prerogative.
Right. And that's the whole thing. The issue also is when people see that, like, and you see news stories of, like, stuff happen like this where, a chick gets raped and maybe she wasn't wearing underwear and she was wearing a skirt and she was making out with guys all night and this, that, and the other. A lot of people are kind of like, not all people, but like a lot of people are kind of like, well, you probably shouldn't be acting like that if you don't want anything bad to happen to you. And I kind of understand that thought process, but at the same time, like, no one deserves to be victimized like that. You know what I mean? Like, you're not, unless you said yes, there's no reason for that type of behavior to come down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's just like another form of like victim blaming, honestly.
Victim.
To me. So it's just like, to me, it's like, oh, well, she was making out with that guy, so obviously she just, like apparently just wants sex. Well, yeah, she might have been feeling it with that guy, but that doesn't mean that she wants sex with every man in the party or something.
That's right.
Yeah, like,
And I mean, it's just like that consent is like tea video.
The tea video.
It's just because someone says yes to one thing and then turns around and is like never mind sort of thing. It's just
right.
You can't, consent can be withdrawn at any time.
Right.
Me. Or to anybody. That should be for everybody. Like, consent can be withdrawn at any time.
Right.
It could be like right before penetration happens, and she'd be like, you know what, never mind. I don't feel comfortable. Then
explain the team, Lone Wolf. Explain the team model to the people who don't know back home. Like, explain what the team model is.
So consent is tea.
Yes.
If I want tea, and if you offer me tea and I want tea and I say yes, then I want tea. Make me tea and I will drink it. If I drink it, then yes.
Okay.
We have tea together. If I, and photo, creds to the video. If I,
I'll link it down below.
If you offer me tea and I say yes, and then you go through the process of making the tea and everything, and then you come to me with the tea, and I don't want it after that, or I change my mind and I don't want it. Don't force me to drink the tea.
Right.
That's right. I like that. I've never heard of that. I like that.
And then there's another one in that video as well.
It doesn't matter. And to add on to what you said, it doesn't matter how long you've been brewing that tea. It doesn't matter how long you've been having that on the pot. It doesn't matter how much effort you put into making that tea, just to make that tea perfect. If you have the tea and it's completely prepared for me, and I say no before having tea, then that means you do not give me the tea. You do not force the tea down my throat.
That's right.
And
like
I think one of my most favorite ones is from that video is, if you make me tea, if you offer me tea and I say yes, and you go through brewing it, making the perfect cup of tea, and I pass out, don't make me drink the tea.
Yeah, don't drink. No, that's terrible. I can imagine. I can't imagine someone. I know it's like it's a metaphor for rape, but like I can't imagine someone making tea and then literally pouring it down their throat as they're asleep. That's crazy. Like, that's terrible. But yeah. So that's really the idea that's the tea model overall. Just like, don't, if you want, like, if she asks for tea and you make the tea and then she changes her mind about the tea, don't give her the tea. She can also, while you're having a delicious cup of tea, also, if you ask her to give 2 sugars and she's not comfortable with 2 sugars in her tea, then you do not force her to have 2 sugars in her tea,
And don't put it in my drink.
Yeah, like, don't put it in her tea without her noticing. Don't think, like, she's gonna like the sugar in her tea anyway. Like, And the metaphor just goes on like that. It's actually a very good metaphor, I think.
I like that. I've never heard of that. I like it.
It's so good. I remember coming across it on Facebook, and by far, one of the best videos ever to
be produced,
to show what actual consent is like, because I don't understand why it's so hard for people to understand what consent actually means until you really think about it. Like, if you make somebody food and they don't want to eat it, you don't force them to eat it.
Right. No, I think a lot of people think they're entitled to a tea party.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Not in this house, honey.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people are entitled to. Yeah, they think they're entitled to giving to someone else having tea and stuff. It's very bad. All right, I'm gonna stop calling it tea because I don't wanna. But yeah, that's really the issue there. Just don't force people to do things they don't want to do. Like, the fact that that needs to be said at all, it's interesting. It's crazy to me. But like, I don't, it takes a few people to get it sometimes, I guess, but whatever. And that's the thing, like, this video isn't for, like, the rapists out there, because the rapists don't give a shit what we say. The rapists don't give a shit, like, like whether or not there's all these seminars and all these, like, awareness, gatherings and stuff like that about them and stuff like that. They don't care about any of that. Like, they're just looking for their next victim. Like, they're just trying to be more careful now. And I think that isn't, and I'm glad that's the case, because, like, they can't hide in plain sight anymore, They have to be more crafty. And here's the thing. They will, in this world that we live in, people get caught all the time, Brock Turner got caught, Granted, he'd got a very light sentence because his family was rich, but...
And apparently he had a scholarship for swimming.
Right, like... But regardless of that, he got caught, and I'm not saying justice was served, because it wasn't, but like, we have a more socially aware society we live in. People know what to look for, and I think that's a good thing to have.
Yeah,
I completely agree.
Because let's be honest, most regular people know rape is wrong, okay? That's not, like the issue of rape isn't necessarily, like, with rapists, obviously they don't care rape is wrong. The issue with the idea of sexual assault and rape, a lot of the time, is due to what constitute as consent. And that's where people kind of get tripped up at when you really get down to it. Everyone knows, like, rape is wrong, but what is consent? That's really the crux of the conversation. That's where it all kind of falls apart. And that T model, which I'm going to have links down below, is a perfect... I feel like it's pretty airtight, I feel.
Yeah.
The T model's pretty airtight. Does it cover all bases? Probably not. But like, it gets the bullet points. It gets the most out of all of it. It's very comprehensive. If you guys, I have it linked below. If you guys have a minute to take a look at it and see what it means. But yeah, the reason one of the biggest reasons I did this show today is because there was a thing on TikTok where people were like saying, hey, on the 24th we're gonna rape people, but before that came about, it's like 2 days ago, 2 women got raped in the United States. One of them was killed after the endeavor. And you see, this is kind of what happens when you like kind of make a joke about these things. Not to say that these rapes wouldn't have occurred anyway, but like to make a joke about like these things and say, oh, it's no big deal, you make people think, oh, I'm gonna be less aware. Like, you make people less aware, you make people less on their guard, and so when something goes down, bad things happen and people are less prepared for it,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just really gross to like hear about, but I'm sure. And here's the thing, if you want to say like the seminars are cheesy and like all the little trainings are annoying and this, that, and the other, like, I understand that, I understand to a regular person who doesn't rape, who barely even interacts with people in general, to someone like that, I could see why being told why rape is wrong every hour of every day could possibly become annoying. I can definitely see it, right? But it's not really for you, per se. It's for those people in the gray area who don't understand what exactly is consent when you really get down to it. Because like the language around consent has broadened a lot as time has gone by, like, because back in my day when I was younger, rape only meant, like, for example, if like someone bonked you on the head with a vase and dragged you by your face into their apartment, like, that's what rape meant, like, when I was young, that's what everyone understood rape was. Like, when they're unconscious, you drag them in and you just do what you will with them. That was always rape, But then, like, the conversation was, well, what if somebody threatens you and, like, threatens your entire career if you don't have sex with them? Now that's rape, But people have been doing that for years until we had, like, a name for it, and till we had a way of determining that, So I'm glad that the language is kind of like broadened and stuff like that, on this conversation, because there's it's a very nuanced conversation when it comes to consent and stuff like that. So I'm glad that I'm glad that that's like, I'm glad we're doing that. We're doing our part, as it were. So,
Right.
So anyway, I was gonna ask, do you guys, I just want to say, like, we're wrapping it up now. I wanted to thank you guys for coming down and coming to the show and giving off y'all's experiences and whatnot. Just do you have any final words before we end this off?
Don't feel alone. Don't ever feel like you're alone in these type of situations. Because go ahead.
Oh no, I said I agree.
Because I promise you, you aren't alone. There's always going to be someone who understands to the same extent or to a certain degree of how you feel and about certain situations like that. And it's going to be hard. But I know that you can you can make it through it.
What about you, Cubitron?
I'd say get help. I mean, that was my downfall, and I think I went through some unnecessary hellish times after this happened to me, all because I didn't seek help and I didn't tell anybody. So get help, be it one of those hotlines that Miss Wolf was talking about, or simply just telling someone what happened. Get help. And also just stay safe as best as you can. Just stay safe. I want all the friends out there to be safe.
Yes, safety is paramount.
Yes, priority. Yes, agreed.
Yes. Misery business. Anyway. No, it's Paramore. It's yeah, so my final words on this is yes, kind of what they've been saying, essentially, be safe. Understand that there are preventative measures, and if you do become a victim, if you become a victim of rape and sexual assault, there are ways to where you can get help. But understand this, if you do become a victim, it's up to you as someone who has been raped or sexually assaulted or what have you, to not go out and abuse other people.
Yeah.
That's very important too. Don't try to hurt others because you were hurt. Get help, seek out therapy, and be a sort of a pillar, be a beacon for people who have experienced something similar, and be a shining example of what to do when that certain thing happens, when that arises. I think that's what you can do to best to fight against that. Because at the end of the day, if your entire life gets ruined and you start falling into self-destructive behavior and you start hurting others because something bad happened to you, you're allowing the person who raped or sexually assaulted you, you're allowing that person to beat you. You're allowing that person to win,
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
And the best revenge, and a quote that I've heard a while ago, I don't remember who it's from, but the best revenge you can get against your enemies is success. Succeed in your own way. Have a normal, happy life, and find someone who will help you and who will acknowledge you and affirm you, and seek out very loving communities. Like there are plenty of hotlines that you can also use if you don't have these things available to you. I'll have a lot of them linked in the description, and on the 24th I'll be posting this video. And I want people to know that if anyone follows through with this quote-unquote prank that's going on, if anyone decides to do that, understand that there are forces out there that actively fight against you. And people won't sit by and let themselves become a victim. There are people who will openly speak out against this perversion, this disgusting, inhuman behavior. And if you want to follow through with whatever this is, or if you're a person who says, "Ooh, no, it's just a prank, bro, it's just a prank," you are a sick person, you are a disgusting individual, and you are a fucking dirty degenerate, and I think you should probably either go to jail or seek out therapy for yourself.
You're part of the problem.
Yes.
Yeah, for a second, you almost sounded like Liam Neeson from Taken. I will find you. I will find you. You feel me? Like, I'm good.
Look, all I'm saying is, yeah, so I understand that there are ways to get some help and stuff like that, and, if you... Hell, if you need someone to talk to, I mean, shit, my DMs are open on Twitter if you want to talk to me,
Right.
I literally have no life and all the spare time in the world, so, not all the spare time in the world, I just have no life, so, if you need any support, my stuff's open, so... Anyway, we're wrapping it up here, guys. Thank you guys for coming down and sharing your experiences. It must have been very difficult doing this, but I'm glad you guys came down. So I'm about to do my outro, and we'll get done here. First of all, before I do that, though, how do y'all feel? How do you feel, QB Tron?
I feel great.
Okay.
Feel awesome.
Yeah, cool. What about you? How do you feel, Lone Wolf?
I feel great. It's very liberating to talk about this type of situation, especially if it helps somebody who might be going through the same thing and the same issues of kind of like being in denial. I really appreciate you having us. I also really appreciate you kind of taking time out of your day to really pick up on this type of I shouldn't say pick up, but to stand against this type of behavior.
I agree. You did great, man.
It's kind of like breathing in and out, like it's natural for me to dislike this behavior. It's disgusting, it's degenerate, and it's wrong, It's like,
I agree.
More like it's like it's natural, one foot in front of the other. It's like walking for me, to hate the idea of people raping each other and doing stuff like that. So it's not really, to me anyway, it's not really something that's heroic or something that's something that should be praised in any way. I'm just kind of, I guess I'd just say I'm just doing my part to make sure people are aware of what's going on and aware that there are ways to to get help and support. So that's really what I'm doing here. So as I said, thank you guys for coming on. I'm sure you guys are very busy, so I'm going to I'm going to be taking my beautiful sexy girlfriend out to watch the Mortal Kombat movie. She is a very big fan of the series, so I'll be doing that. So thank you guys for coming out. All right. This is the Prometheus Prime podcast. I'm Prometheus Prime, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So long, farewell, leave me the fuck alone, and take care.